Let me tell you about the day humanity almost lost its chance to join the Galactic Council because of a housecat named Mr. Whiskers. The Galactic Arena was exactly what you'd expect from a civilization that settled disputes through ritualized combat. Think Roman Colosseum meets Las Vegas, but with more tentacles and concerningly purple lighting. For 3,000 years, species seeking admission to the Council had to prove their worth in an honor duel. One representative, one battle companion. Winner takes all. Standing in the arena's center was Warlord Kratchak the Merciless, and honestly, the guy lived up to his name. 8 feet tall, 4 arms, skin like volcanic rock, and a face that suggested his mother was a very angry boulder. He'd won 47 consecutive duels. His battle companion, Gorafang, was something evolution had designed specifically to give children nightmares. Imagine a bear had a baby with a tiger, then that baby went to the gym for 10 years and developed anger management issues. Across from this nightmare duo stood Earth's representative, Dave Murphy. Dave was an accountant from Cleveland. He wore khakis. This was not Dave's idea. 3 weeks ago, Dave's office had held a lottery for what HR called a diplomatic mission with full benefits. Dave thought he'd won a free vacation. Turns out when your planet gets an invitation to join a galactic federation, someone has to go, and nobody reads the fine print anymore. By the time Dave understood what trial by combat meant, he was already on a ship halfway to the Andromeda sector. The real problem? The invitation, translated through 17 different alien languages, mentioned bringing a battle companion. Dave's neighbor was watching his apartment. His goldfish had died last year. The only living creature who tolerated Dave's existence was currently tucked under his arm, a 9-pound orange tabby with white paws and an expression of profound boredom. Mr. Whiskers yawned, showing absolutely zero interest in the 60,000 alien spectators filling the arena seats. The arena master, a floating jellyfish creature whose name translated to something like Glibdor, pulsed with confused colors. His tentacles gestured at Dave, then at Mr. Whiskers, then back at Dave. Human delegate. Glibdor's voice boomed through the arena's translation field. Please confirm. This small furry creature is your chosen battle companion? Yes, Dave said, because what else could he say? Sorry, I thought this was a petting zoo situation. The crowd erupted in laughter. Sounds from 6 dozen different species blended into a cacophony that roughly translated to universal mockery. Kratchak's eyes, all 3 of them, narrowed. He spoke in a voice like grinding gravel. You insult me, human. You insult the sacred tradition of the arena. You insult my honor. Mr. Whiskers, utterly unbothered, began licking his left paw. This... Kratchak gestured at Mr. Whiskers with one of his massive clawed hands. Is not a warrior. This is not a beast of battle. This is a joke. Dave wanted to argue, but honestly, Kratchak had a point. Mr. Whiskers' greatest accomplishment was knocking a potted plant off Dave's kitchen counter. Twice. The same plant. The human mocks us, Kratchak announced to the crowd. Very well. We shall treat this mockery as the council demands. Let the trial commence. And when it is done, Earth will slink back to its insignificant corner of space, and this human will learn the price of dishonor, Gorfang roared, a sound that rattled Dave's teeth and probably violated several noise ordinances. Mr. Whiskers paused his grooming just long enough to glance at the massive battle beast, his expression suggesting he'd seen more impressive threats from the vacuum cleaner. Dave looked down at his cat. Buddy, I really need you to pull off a miracle here. Mr. Whiskers returned to licking his paw, his tail swishing with the kind of indifference only a cat can achieve while the owner's entire species faces potential cosmic humiliation. The arena's holographic display flickered to life above them, showing Earth's blue marble spinning in space. Watching, waiting, completely unaware that their fate rested in the paws of a creature whose primary survival skill was looking pathetic until someone fed him. Glibdor's voice echoed through the arena one final time. Warriors, take your positions. May honor guide your actions. May strength prove your worth. Dave took a deep breath and set Mr. Whiskers down on the arena floor. This was either going to be humanity's finest hour, or its most embarrassing extinction event. Mr. Whiskers sat down and began grooming his other paw. Dave's internal monologue was currently screaming at a frequency only dolphins could hear. Meanwhile, Mr. Whiskers had the emotional range of a throw pillow. The cat surveyed the arena with the enthusiasm of someone forced to attend their cousin's 3rd wedding. Let me give you some context about Mr. Whiskers. He was 7 years old. He enjoyed sunbeams, overpriced cat treats, and sitting on Dave's laptop during important video calls. His hobbies included judging Dave's life choices and leaving dead bugs in strategic locations. He weighed 9 pounds, and 4 of those pounds were pure attitude. Dave's journey to this moment had started exactly 19 days ago in a Cleveland office building that smelled like burnt coffee and crushed dreams. His boss, Rita, had gathered everyone in the conference room for what she called a exciting opportunity. The Galactic Council needed one human representative for a diplomatic mission. Earth's government, in a move that definitely wouldn't come back to haunt them, decided to make it fair by holding a random lottery across every workplace in the country. Dave's number came up. Rita said congratulations. Human Resources said sign here. The government officials said don't worry, it's perfectly safe. Just a ceremonial thing. Probably just speeches and handshakes. Nobody mentioned the word combat until Dave was already in orbit. By then, it was too late to explain that his only fight experience was a heated argument about parking spaces in 2019, which he lost. The alien escort, a polite insectoid named Chitwick, had explained the situation during the 2-week journey. Honor duel, battle companion. The fate of Earth's application to join galactic civilization. Standard procedure, really, happens all the time. What kind of battle companion? Dave had asked, his voice climbing several octaves. Chitwick's translator struggled with the concept. A creature of loyalty, a being who fights beside you. Your species must have many such warriors, yes? Dave thought about Mr. Whiskers, who once refused to move from the couch for 16 consecutive hours. Sure, Dave had lied. We've got tons of those. Now, standing in the arena, Dave wondered if they'd accept a formal apology instead of combat. Maybe a nicely worded email? Mr. Whiskers, blissfully unaware of the stakes, discovered something fascinating on the arena floor. A small dust particle. He batted at it with one paw, then the other, engaged in a solo performance that absolutely no one had asked for. The arena announcer, a crystalline being whose voice sounded like wind chimes in a hurricane, was struggling with the commentary. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored polymorphs, we have before us an unprecedented situation. The human has brought what our databases identify as a Felis catus, common designation, Housecat. Average weight, 9 pounds. Threat level, minimal to non-existent. Primary abilities, napping and knocking objects off surfaces. The crowd's laughter intensified. Somewhere in the upper decks, someone started chanting something that roughly translated to, Earth's doom, Earth's doom. Kratchak stepped forward, his forearms crossed in what was probably a gesture of supreme offense across multiple cultures. Human, I am Kratchak, Warlord of the Sixth Fleet, conqueror of the Nebula Wars, destroyer of the rebellion of Proxima 7. I have brought Gore Fang, who has tasted the blood of champions from 40 systems. He pointed one massive finger at Mr. Whiskers. You have brought a creature that appears to be grooming its posterior. This was factually accurate. Mr. Whiskers had indeed shifted his attention to personal hygiene, specifically the kind that makes you uncomfortable when guests are watching. He's very fierce, Dave offered weakly. When he wants to be, he caught a moth once, a really big moth. Gorfang, the actual battle beast, chose that moment to roar again. The sound echoed through the arena, shaking the ground beneath Dave's feet. The creature was the size of a small car, covered in scales and fur and what might have been bonus teeth. Its eyes glowed red, actual red, like someone installed LED lights in its skull for dramatic effect. Mr. Whiskers paused his grooming, looked directly at Gorfang, and delivered the most devastating response possible. He yawned, not a quick yawn, a long, luxurious, deeply unimpressed yawn that showed every tooth in his head and suggested he'd seen more threatening things at the vet. Kratchak's eye twitched. Your creature mocks my Gorfang. No, Dave said quickly. He's just tired. Long trip. You know how it is with space travel. Jet lag, but for space. Space lag. Mr. Whiskers finished his yawn, laid down in a sunny spot created by the arena's atmospheric shield, and tucked his paws under his chest in what cat owners call the loaf position. His eyes slowly closed to half-mast, achieving that unique feline expression that simultaneously conveys boredom, judgment, and the possibility of sudden violence. The arena fell silent. 60,000 beings watched, a 9-pound cat settle in for what appeared to be a pre-battle nap. Dave looked at his cat. His cat looked at nothing in particular, having entered the Zen state that cats achieve when they're pretending you don't exist. Mr. Whiskers, Dave whispered urgently. Buddy, I need you to look alive here, or dangerous, preferably dangerous. Mr. Whiskers' tail flicked once. It was the only acknowledgement Dave would receive. Glibdor pulsed with colors that probably meant confusion or possibly indigestion. Shall we begin the trial? Kratchak's voice boomed across the arena. Yes. Let us end this farce quickly. Gorfang hungers, and this insult has lasted long enough. Dave looked down at Mr. Whiskers one more time. The cat had fallen completely asleep, his small body rising and falling with peaceful breaths, utterly unconcerned that he was about to face a creature that had literally eaten champions. Humanity's fate, Dave thought grimly, rested on a creature whose greatest enemy was the red dot from a laser pointer. This was fine. Everything was fine. Glibdor floated to the center of the arena, his jellyfish body pulsing with official-looking purple light. Dave suspected this was the galactic equivalent of a referee putting on his serious face. "Honored warriors and spectators," Glibdor announced, his tentacles forming what might have been respectful gestures or possibly gang signs. "We gather today to witness trial by combat as established by the ancient accords of participation. The rules are simple and have remained unchanged for millennia." Dave leaned forward. Finally, some clarity. Each warrior and their companion will engage in honorable combat until one side achieves victory through martial superiority, tactical dominance, or the unconditional surrender of their opponent. Glibdor paused dramatically. Victory is achieved when honor has been satisfied. Dave waited for more. That's it? That's the rule? The ancient accords are intentionally flexible to accommodate the diversity of species and combat styles across the galaxy, Glibdor explained. Which was bureaucrat speak for, "We wrote this 3,000 years ago and nobody wanted to update it. So what counts as victory?" Dave pressed. "When honor has been satisfied," Glibdor repeated, somehow making it sound even less helpful the second time. "Right, but how do we know when honor is satisfied?" Glibdor's tentacles wiggled in what the translation field interpreted as a shrug. "You will know." "Great. Excellent. Very specific." Dave was going to die because of vague space legislation. Kratchak stepped into his starting position, and Dave had to admit, the guy knew how to make an entrance. All four arms spread wide, muscles rippling under his rocky skin, his armor glinting in the arena lights. He looked like someone had asked a volcano to cosplay as a bodybuilder. Gorfang padded forward, each step shaking the ground. The battle beast's claws scraped against the arena floor, leaving gouges in the reinforced metal. Its 3 rows of teeth glistened with what Dave really hoped was saliva and not some kind of acid. The creature's spine bristled with spikes that looked like they'd been designed by someone who thought regular spikes weren't extra enough. "Behold," Kratchak announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the arena. "Gorfang, raised from birth in the volcanic pits of Krath Prime, trained in 17 forms of combat, undefeated in 47 trials. His roar has caused lesser warriors to flee. His claws have torn through reinforced battle armor. His very presence has brought champions to their knees." The crowd roared approval. Gorfang responded with another earth-shaking bellow that probably violated several Geneva conventions. Dave looked down at his champion. Mr. Whiskers had woken from his brief nap and was now intensely focused on his own tail, which had apparently become the most fascinating object in the known universe. "Mr. Whiskers," Dave whispered. "We need a better showing than this, buddy." The cat caught his tail, bit it, then looked offended that his tail had the audacity to exist. The arena's commentators, perched in a floating bench, the booth above the stands, were having a field day. The first commentator, a being that looked like an octopus wearing a suit, spoke with the enthusiasm of someone announcing the galaxy's worst boxing match. "Thraxor, what are we seeing here?" The second commentator, Thraxor, who resembled a very disappointed praying mantis, clicked his mandibles. "Well, Blorbix, in my 40 years covering arena combat, I have never witnessed such a profound mismatch. The human's creature appears to be attacking itself." "Fascinating strategy," Blorbix said, his tentacles gesturing at the holographic display, showing Mr. Whiskers' continued battle with his own tail. "Do you think this is some kind of psychological warfare?" "Either that," Thraxor replied, "or we're watching a species fail its entrance exam in real time." Dave tried to psych himself up. He crouched down next to Mr. Whiskers, doing his best impression of a supportive coach. "Okay, buddy, listen up. I know you didn't ask for this. I know you'd rather be home on the couch. But right now, Earth needs you. Humanity needs you. I need you." Mr. Whiskers stopped fighting his tail and stared at Dave with those inscrutable yellow-green eyes that cats use when they're deciding whether you're worth acknowledging. "You're fast," Dave continued. "You're clever. You once caught a bug mid-air. Remember that? That was amazing. You can do this." Mr. Whiskers blinked slowly, which in cat language either means "I love you" or I'm barely tolerating your existence. Context suggested the latter. Warriors, Glibdor's voice boomed. Take your marks. Kratchak and Gorfang moved to their starting position with synchronized precision. Kratchak raised one fist to the sky. Gorfang reared up on his hind legs, displaying his full terrifying height. Dave picked up Mr. Whiskers and carried him to their starting position. The cat's body had gone completely limp in that way cats do, when they want you to know they're not participating in whatever nonsense you've planned. Please, Dave whispered. Just try to look intimidating. Mr. Whiskers' response was to start purring. Not the cute, comforting purr. The loud, rumbling, I'm annoyed but too lazy to scratch you, purr. Glibdor's tentacles began to glow. Let the trial of combat begin in 3, 2, 1. A massive gong sounded across the arena. Dave set Mr. Whiskers down and jumped back, ready for action. Gorfang let loose a roar that could probably be heard from space. Kratchak pointed dramatically at Dave and Mr. Whiskers, shouting what was likely a battle cry in his native language but translated to something like, prepare for honorable destruction. The crowd leaned forward in anticipation. Mr. Whiskers, finally freed from Dave's arms, immediately walked away from the action. Not quickly, not with purpose. Just a casual stroll toward the far corner of the arena, his tail swishing with the kind of indifference usually reserved for Nobel Prize acceptance speeches. Mr. Whiskers, Dave hissed. Wrong direction. The enemy is that way. The cat reached the corner and began sniffing the wall with intense concentration, as if he'd just discovered the secrets of the universe hidden in the arena's construction materials. Kratchak's eye twitched again. Your creature flees already? He's not fleeing, Dave said, desperately trying to salvage this. He's strategically repositioning. It's very advanced tactics. You probably haven't seen this technique before. Thraxor's voice echoed through the commentator system. Blorbix, the human's creature appears to be inspecting the arena wall. Perhaps searching for structural weaknesses? Blorbix suggested hopefully. Or, Thraxor replied, it has no idea a battle has started. Mr. Whiskers finished his inspection of the wall, sat down, and began grooming his face with one paw, using that slow, deliberate washing motion that cats use when they want everyone to know they're busy with more important matters. Dave put his head in his hands. Earth was doomed, and it was going to be his fault. Kratchak had apparently seen enough. He raised all 4 arms and bellowed something in his native tongue that the translators rendered as Gorfang. Destroy the disrespectful creature and restore my honor. Honestly, it probably sounded cooler in the original Krathian. Gorfang needed no further encouragement. The battle beast launched forward with surprising speed for something the size of a minivan. His claws tore into the arena floor, leaving deep trenches in the metal. His 3 rows of teeth snapped together with sounds like steel traps closing. The spikes along his spine stood at full attention, quivering with barely contained violence. This was a creature that evolution had spent millions of years perfecting into a murder machine, and he was charging directly at a cat who was currently licking his own shoulder. Dave's mouth went dry. Mr. Whiskers, move! The cat did move, just not in any direction that suggested self-preservation instincts. As Gorfang thundered toward him like a freight train made of teeth and bad intentions, Mr. Whiskers casually sidestepped at the last possible second. Not a panicked dodge, not a desperate leap, just a simple, almost lazy step to the left, the kind of movement you'd make to avoid a puddle on the sidewalk. Gorfang's momentum carried him past Mr. Whiskers and straight into the arena wall with a resounding crash that made the entire structure shudder. The impact would have killed most creatures. Gorfang just shook his head, dislodged a few wall fragments from his scales, and turned around with murder in all 6 of his eyes. Mr. Whiskers, meanwhile, had discovered something infinitely more interesting than mortal combat. A small piece of debris from the wall collision had landed near his paws. He batted at it experimentally. It skittered across the floor. His pupils dilated to maximum adorable murder mode. He crouched low, wiggling his haunches in preparation for the pounce. That's it, Dave shouted encouragingly. Attack mode. Yes. Mr. Whiskers pounced on the debris with the intensity of a creature catching its greatest prey. He grabbed it with both front paws, kicked it with his back legs, then stood up and walked away as if the debris had never existed. The cat's attention span, as always, remained his most mysterious attribute. Gorfang charged again, this time from a different angle. He came in low and fast, jaws open wide enough to swallow Mr. Whiskers whole. The crowd gasped. Dave's heart stopped. Mr. Whiskers, who had been sniffing the exact spot where the debris had landed, heard the approaching thunder of Gorfang's footsteps. He turned his head slowly, regarded the charging battle beast with a look of profound disinterest, and simply sat down. Just sat down. Right there in Gorfang's path. The battle beast skidded to a halt mere inches from Mr. Whiskers, his claws screeching against the metal floor. Gorfang's head tilted in confusion. In his entire career as a battle beast, no prey had ever simply sat down and looked bored. His predator programming didn't have a protocol for this. Attack fleeing prey? Yes. Attack aggressive prey? Absolutely. Attack prey that's giving you the same look your grandmother gives disappointing family members. The manual was silent on this scenario. Blorbix, are you seeing this? Thraxor's voice crackled through the arena speakers. I am, Thraxor, but I'm not sure I believe it. The human's creature has employed what I can only describe as aggressive apathy. Mr. Whiskers yawned again, even wider than before. Then he did something that Dave had seen 1,000 times at home but never expected to see in Mortal Kombat. The cat rolled onto his side, stretched out his legs, and began grooming his belly. Right there, in front of a creature specifically bred to kill things. The crowd's laughter had stopped. 60,000 beings sat in confused silence, watching a 9-pound cat treat a legendary battle beast like a mild inconvenience. Gorfang tried a different approach. He circled Mr. Whiskers slowly, growling low in his throat. It was the kind of intimidation tactic that had worked on 47 previous opponents. The growl resonated through the arena, a subsonic rumble that activated every prey species' fight-or-flight response. Mr. Whiskers paused his grooming, looked directly at Gorfang, and made a sound. Not a hiss, not a growl, a chirp, that weird chirping sound cats make when they see birds through windows. The cat equivalent of mild interest mixed with complete superiority. Then Mr. Whiskers went back to licking his stomach. Dave watched in amazement as Gorfang's circling became more agitated. The battle beast would lunge forward, testing for a reaction. Mr. Whiskers wouldn't even look up. Gorfang would roar. Mr. Whiskers would pause, flick one ear in annoyance at the noise, then continue grooming. It was the most disrespectful combat performance Dave had ever witnessed, and it was somehow working. The human's creature is employing a strategy I've only read about in ancient texts, Blorbix announced, his tentacles quivering with excitement. The complete denial of the opponent's existence as a threat. Psychological warfare at its finest. Or, Thraxor countered, it genuinely has no idea it's in danger. Both interpretations were correct. Gorfang's frustration reached a breaking point. He reared up on his hind legs to his full terrifying height and brought both front paws down in a devastating slam that would have crushed Mr. Whiskers into a small fuzzy pancake. Except Mr. Whiskers wasn't there anymore. The cat had wandered off mid-groom, apparently having decided that a spot of floor 3 feet to the left had better grooming ambiance. Gorfang's paws hit empty floor with a thunderous bang that sent shockwaves through the arena. Mr. Whiskers, in his new location, found a patch of floor that the arena's atmospheric shield was heating with artificial sunlight, perfect temperature, excellent lighting. The cat circled twice, kneaded the air with his paws in that inexplicable pre-nap ritual all cats perform, and laid down in a compact loaf position. His eyes began to close. Is the creature preparing for hibernation? Blorbix asked, his voice climbing several octaves. During combat? Thraxor replied. Unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented. Dave couldn't believe what he was watching. Mr. Whiskers was trying to take a nap, in the middle of a fight for Earth's survival. The cat had achieved a level of zen that Buddhist monks would envy, and it was driving everyone in the arena absolutely insane. Especially Gorfang. The battle beast stood over Mr. Whiskers, breathing heavily, his 3 rows of teeth dripping with saliva. This close, Dave could see every scar on Gorfang's hide, each one a testament to battles won and opponents defeated. The creature had fought champions from across the galaxy. He'd never lost. He'd never even been challenged, and now he was being psychologically destroyed by a cat who was half asleep. Gorfang lowered his massive head until his snout was inches from Mr. Whiskers. He exhaled, a hot breath that ruffled the cat's fur. The battle beast's eyes narrowed. This was it. The killing blow. The moment that would restore honor and end this farce. Mr. Whiskers opened one eye. Just one. He looked at Gorfang with that singular eye, and in that look was every bit of judgment and disdain that cats have perfected over 10,000 years of domestication. It was the look cats give empty food bowls. The look they give closed doors. The look they give humans who dare to stop petting them without permission. Then Mr. Whiskers did something that would be discussed in arena folklore for generations. He reached out one white paw, casual as anything, and bopped Gorfang directly on the nose. Not a swipe with claws extended. Not an aggressive strike. Just a gentle bop, the kind of experimental tap a cat uses to test if something will be entertaining. Boop. The arena fell absolutely silent. Gorfang's eyes went wide. He staggered backward, shaking his massive head as if he'd been struck by lightning rather than a paw that weighed approximately 3 ounces. Mr. Whiskers yawned, closed his eye again, and adjusted his position to maximize sun exposure. The battle beast, undefeated champion of 47 trials, looked at his master with an expression that transcended species. It was the universal look of, "I don't get paid enough for this." Dave's jaw dropped. The crowd remained frozen in shock, and somewhere in the upper levels of the arena, one brave soul started to laugh. Gorfang retreated. Actually retreated. Backward, away from a creature that weighed less than his breakfast. The battle beast's claws scraped against the arena floor as he backpedaled toward Kratchak, his head low, his tail tucked between his legs. If Dave didn't know better, he'd say Gorfang looked embarrassed. The crowd erupted, not in laughter this time, in complete, utter chaos. Aliens were standing, sitting, floating, whatever their species did when shocked. The noise was deafening, chittering, roaring, whistling, sounds that human ears weren't designed to process. The universal language of, "What in the actual hell did we just witness?" Kratchak's rocky face had gone from confidence to confusion, to something that might have been existential dread. All 3 of his eyes were locked on Mr. Whiskers, who remained in his sunny spot, now fully asleep. The cat's small body rose and fell with peaceful breaths, his white paws tucked neatly under his orange chin, utterly unaware that he'd just accomplished what no warrior in galactic history had managed. He'd made Gorfang retreat without landing a single blow. "Gorfang." Kratchak's voice was quiet now, dangerous. "What are you doing?" The battle beast whimpered. Actually whimpered. A sound that something his size shouldn't be capable of making. He pressed himself against Kratchak's leg like a puppy seeking comfort after a thunderstorm. Thraxor's commentating had taken on a manic quality. "Blorbix, I need you to confirm what I'm seeing because I don't trust my own sensory organs right now." "I see it too, Thraxor." Gorfang, the undefeated, the devourer of champions, the beast of 47 victories, has just retreated from a sleeping housecat. "Explain it to me, Blorbix. You studied xenopsychology. What's happening?" Blorbix's tentacles were moving in patterns that suggested he was frantically accessing databases. Battle beasts are bred and trained to respond to specific threat indicators. Aggression, fear, challenge. The human's creature has displayed none of these. It's created a psychological paradox. Gorfang's entire worldview is predicated on the concept of worthy opponents. This creature refuses to acknowledge that a battle is even occurring. So the cat is winning by not caring that there's a fight? Precisely. It's the most devastating psychological warfare I've ever documented. Dave watched Mr. Whiskers sleep and felt a weird surge of pride. His cat, the same cat who once got his head stuck in a paper bag and panicked for 20 minutes, was accidentally revolutionizing combat strategy. Kratchak's jaw clenched, his forearms trembled. Dave could practically see the warrior's internal struggle. This was a being who'd built his entire identity on honor, strength, and victory through combat. And right now, his legendary battle beast was cowering from something that probably couldn't even reach the gas pedal in a car. "Disgraceful," Kratchak spat the word. He pushed Gorfang aside. "If my companion will not fight, then I shall restore honor myself." Glibdor pulsed with alarmed colors. "Warlord Kratchak, the ancient traditions dictate that only the battle companions engage in direct combat. The warriors themselves are meant to bopit, command, not participate. The traditions," Kratchak growled, stepping into the arena proper, "were written before anyone encountered such unprecedented disrespect. I invoke the clause of personal honor. I will face this creature myself." The crowd's noise reached a new pitch. Apparently invoking the clause of personal honor was either really rare or really stupid. Possibly both. Dave felt panic rising in his chest. "Wait, hold on. You're like 8 feet tall and made of rock. That's not a fair fight." "There is no fairness in honor," Kratchak declared, moving toward Mr. Whiskers with measured steps. "There is only victory or defeat." "Mr." Whiskers, disturbed by the vibrations of Kratchak's heavy footsteps, opened both eyes this time. He lifted his head slightly, saw the approaching warlord, and his expression shifted to one Dave knew all too well. It was the look Mr. Whiskers gave when Dave tried to give him a bath. Pure, distilled annoyance. Kratchak stopped 5 feet from the cat. He crossed all 4 arms. His shadow fell over Mr. Whiskers, blocking the sunlight. "Small creature, You have made a mockery of sacred traditions. You have humiliated my battle beast. You have insulted my honor. Now you will face me directly, and I will show you what true combat means." Mr. Whiskers stared at Kratchak. Then he looked at the spot where the sunlight had been. Then back at Kratchak, who was still blocking the sun. The cat's eyes narrowed to slits. Dave had seen this look before. It was the look that came before Mr. Whiskers knocked Dave's phone off the nightstand at 3 in the morning. The look before he shredded the toilet paper. The look before chaos. Kratchak?" Dave called out. "Maybe don't block his son. That's kind of his thing." Kratchak ignored him. "Fight me, creature. Show me this legendary strategy that has caused such disruption. Prove that Earth deserves a place among the stars." Mr. Whiskers stood up, slowly, deliberately. He arched his back in a long stretch, his tail pointing straight up. Then he sat down again, directly facing Kratchak, and employed the weapon that had broken stronger beings than the Warlord. The stare. Not just any stare. The cat stare. The slow blink, dead-eyed, soul-piercing stare that cats have used to train humans for millennia. The stare that says, "I am judging you and finding you severely lacking." The stare that reduces confident adults to servants who shake treat bags at 2 in the morning. Kratchak stared back. "Your attempted intimidation is pathetic." Mr. Whiskers slow blinked. Once, twice. His tail swished, a metronome of pure condescension. "I have faced down warlords and kings," Kratchak continued. But Dave noticed his voice had lost some of its thunder. "I have stared into the eyes of the void serpents of Proxima. I have met the gaze of the crystal hunters of the frozen moon. Your small eyes do not frighten me." Mr. Whiskers slow blinked again. His pupils were perfect circles now, locked onto Kratchak with the intensity of a creature that had evolved specifically to manipulate larger beings into doing his bidding. The arena had gone quiet again. Everyone watched as an 8-foot warlord made of volcanic rock engaged in a staring contest with a 9-pound housecat. Kratchak's middle eye twitched. Mr. Whiskers didn't blink. Cats can go minutes without blinking when they're committed to the bit. "I will not be defeated by silence," Kratchak announced, but he took a step backward. Just one step, barely noticeable. But Dave noticed. The crowd noticed. Most importantly, Mr. Whiskers noticed. The cat's tail swished faster. His slow blink came again, and this time it carried the weight of a creature that knew he'd already won. Kratchak took another step back. "This is not combat. This is not honorable engagement. This creature refuses to fight." Mr. Whiskers stood up, walked 3 steps forward to reclaim his sunny spot, circled twice, and laid back down. He closed his eyes. The dismissal was complete. Kratchak stood there, all 4 arms hanging at his sides, staring at a sleeping cat. Dave could see the exact moment the warlord's worldview cracked. This was a being who'd conquered star systems, who'd led fleets into battle, who'd built a reputation on strength and honor and the thrill of combat. And he'd just been psychologically dismantled by a creature whose greatest accomplishment before today was successfully meowing until Dave opened a door that wasn't even closed. Kratchak's voice was barely a whisper. "I cannot fight an opponent who will not acknowledge the battle. I cannot defeat an opponent who does not recognize me as a threat. I cannot claim victory over an opponent who treats my presence as an inconvenience to his rest." The warlord's shoulders, all 4 of them, slumped. "How do you conquer indifference?" Kratchak asked the arena, the crowd, the universe. "How do you restore honor against a being that operates outside the concept of honor entirely?" Mr. Whiskers snored. A tiny, rumbling snore. Kratchak turned to Glibdor. "I cannot continue this trial. Not because I lack strength, not because I lack courage, but because victory is impossible against an opponent who exists in a state of perpetual disinterest." Dave's heart leaped. Was this happening? Was Kratchak actually giving up? "Are you conceding the trial?" Glibdor asked, his tentacles quivering with uncertainty. Kratchak looked back at Mr. Whiskers one last time. The cat had rolled slightly in his sleep, exposing his belly, the ultimate sign of security and comfort. "Yes," the warlord said quietly. "I concede. The human and his creature have won. Not through combat, but through something I have never encountered and do not understand." The arena exploded into noise. Dave stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Mr. Whiskers continued sleeping, utterly unaware that he'd just saved humanity's future by refusing to give a single damn. Glibdor's entire jellyfish body flashed through colors that the translation field struggled to interpret. Shock, confusion, possibly indigestion. By the ancient accords of participation, Warlord Kratchak the Merciless has conceded defeat. Victory is awarded to the human delegate Dave Murphy and his battle companion, the creature designated Mr. Whiskers. The arena erupted into absolute pandemonium. Half the crowd was cheering, the other half was arguing. Several species appeared to be having philosophical crises. One section of crystalline beings had started vibrating at frequencies that shattered their own seating. Gorfang had curled up in the corner like a very large, very defeated puppy. And Mr. Whiskers, the architect of this chaos, stretched in his sleep and rolled over. Dave stood there, hands at his sides, trying to comprehend that he'd just accidentally won the most important battle in human history because his cat had mastered the art of not caring. Thraxor's voice cut through the noise. Blorbix, in 40 years of arena commentary, I have never seen anything like this. Check the historical records. Has any battle companion ever won through pure apathy? I'm searching now, Thraxor. There was a pause. Oh no. What is it? There's a prophecy, an old one, written by the Oracle of Centauri 9 approximately 2,000 years ago. It speaks of the small unbothered, one who would come from a distant world and reshape the foundations of combat through the power of profound disinterest. The crowd's noise dropped as Blorbix's words echoed through the translation field. The prophecy states, when the small unbothered one arrives, carried by a warrior who knows not his own strength, the nature of honor itself shall be questioned. For what greater victory exists than to face destruction with a yawn? What greater warrior than one who conquers through the refusal to acknowledge conquest itself? Dave felt 60,000 pairs of eyes, compound eyes, energy sensors, and various other visual organs turned toward him and Mr. Whiskers. You're telling me, Dave said slowly, that there was a 2,000-year-old prophecy about my cat? About a cat, Blorbix corrected. The species wasn't specified, but the description is remarkably accurate. Small, furry, supremely indifferent to threats. Capable of psychological warfare through the weaponization of apathy. Mr. Whiskers woke up, probably because the arena had gotten too noisy for proper napping. He sat up, yawned wide enough to show his tiny fangs, and began grooming his face with one paw. Business as usual. An elderly alien in the front row, some kind of floating brain in a containment suit, spoke in a trembling voice. I have studied the prophecy my entire life, 732 years. I never believed I would witness its fulfillment. The small, unbothered one has arrived. The age of traditional combat has ended. Let's not get carried away. Dave started, but it was too late. Other voices joined in. Species Dave couldn't even name were shouting about prophecies, signs, the end times, new beginnings, philosophical revolutions. Someone started chanting in a language that sounded like grinding rocks. Others joined in. Within minutes, half the arena was chanting something that the translators rendered as, praise the small, unbothered one. Kratchak, to his credit, approached Dave with his head held high despite the defeat. Human Dave Murphy, you have won fairly according to the traditions I myself invoked. Your companion has bested both my battle beast and myself through methods I cannot comprehend. Earth shall be granted full membership in the Galactic Council. Thanks, Dave said, still processing everything. I think, but know this. Kratchak leaned down, his 3 eyes serious. You have brought something into the galaxy that we were not prepared for. Your creature operates outside the bounds of logic as we understand it. Guard this power carefully. Dave looked at Mr. Whiskers, who had discovered a loose thread on Dave's pants and was now batting at it with intense focus. Yeah. He's a real weapon of mass destruction. Kratchak straightened. You joke, but I am serious. Gorfang was bred from the finest warrior stock across 6 generations. He has training, experience, and instincts honed for battle. Your creature has none of these things. Yet he won decisively. What you call indifference, we must now recognize as a form of strength we cannot counter. The Warlord turned to address the crowd. Let it be known across the galaxy. Earth's battle cats are to be respected, feared, never underestimated. We have learned this lesson today. Dave wanted to explain that Mr. Whiskers wasn't special, that Earth had millions of cats just like him, most of whom spent their days sleeping in sunbeams and knocking things off counters. But then he saw the way the crowd was looking at Mr. Whiskers, with a mixture of awe and terror, and he reconsidered. Maybe it was better if the galaxy thought Earth had an army of super warriors instead of an army of furry little chaos agents who could barely be bothered to use their litter boxes consistently. Glibdor floated over to Dave, his tentacles forming what might have been a respectful gesture. Human delegate. As victor of the trial, Earth will be granted all the rights and privileges of Galactic Council membership. Trade agreements, technology exchanges, cultural partnerships, protection under galactic law. You have secured a bright future for your species. Great, Dave said. Can I go home now? Of course. But first, the ceremony of honor. It is tradition. The ceremony of honor turned out to involve a lot of standing while various alien dignitaries gave speeches about courage, strength, and the unpredictable nature of destiny. Mr. Whiskers, placed on a ceremonial pillow next to Dave, tolerated approximately 7 minutes of this before deciding he'd had enough. The cat hopped off the pillow, walked to the edge of the platform, and meowed once. Loudly. The speeches stopped immediately. The small unbothered one has spoken, someone whispered. Mr. Whiskers meowed again, more insistently, then looked directly at Dave with an expression that clearly communicated, I require food, and you are failing in your duties. I think he's hungry, Dave said apologetically. Then we shall feast, Glibdor announced. A victory banquet in honor of Earth's champions. The banquet was held in a massive hall that made the arena look modest. Tables stretched in every direction, filled with foods from 1,000 worlds. Dave was given a seat of honor at the head table. Mr. Whiskers was offered delicacies that probably cost more than Dave's car. The cat sniffed each offering, rejected most of them, and eventually settled on a plate of something that looked suspiciously like tuna. Figures. As the celebration continued, Dave found himself next to Chitwick, the insectoid alien who'd escorted him to the arena. So this whole prophecy thing, Dave said quietly, is it real, or are people just making connections because they want it to be real? Chitwick's antennae twitched in what might have been a shrug. Does it matter? Your species has gained council membership. Your companion has become a legend. Whether the prophecy was genuine, or we are all engaging in collective apophenia, the result is the same. I guess that's fair. Dave watched Mr. Whiskers finish his tuna and immediately curl up for another nap, right there on the banquet table, surrounded by galactic dignitaries. What happens now? Now, your people will receive the formal invitation. Ambassadors will be assigned. Trade negotiations will begin. And you, Dave Murphy, will return home as the human who won Earth's place in the galaxy. With a cat, with the small unbothered one. Yes, Dave thought about his apartment back in Cleveland. His job doing taxes for small businesses. His normal, boring, predictable life. Nobody's going to believe this happened. Oh, they will believe it. Chitwick gestured to the crowd, where dozens of aliens were taking holographic images of Mr. Whiskers sleeping. Your companion's victory is being broadcast across every civilized system. By tomorrow, every species in the galaxy will know about Earth's battle cats. Some will want to study them. Some will want to trade for them. Some will petition the council to classify them as restricted weapons. Dave nearly choked on his drink. Weapons? Your creature defeated a warlord and his battle beast without throwing a single blow. What else would you call that? Mr. Whiskers snored softly, his paws twitching in a dream. Probably dreaming about birds or treats, or that one time he successfully knocked Dave's coffee mug off the table. Dave sighed and scratched Mr. Whiskers behind the ears. The cat purred without waking up. You know what, buddy? When we get home, you're getting the fancy cat food, the really expensive stuff. You've earned it. 3 weeks later, Dave was back in his Cleveland apartment, watching the news coverage of Earth's formal acceptance into the Galactic Council. His boss Rita had called him a hero. The government had given him a medal. Someone had started a religion based on Mr. Whiskers. There was already talk of a movie deal. Mr. Whiskers, utterly unaware of his fame, was doing exactly what he'd been doing before the whole adventure started. Sleeping on the couch in a sunbeam, occasionally waking up to demand food or knock something off the coffee table. Living his best life with zero awareness that he'd fundamentally changed humanity's place in the universe. Dave's phone buzzed. A message from Chitwick. Greetings, Dave. The Council has received 47 formal requests from other species asking if Earth would be willing to train battle companions. What should I tell them? Dave looked at Mr. Whiskers, who had just woken up, stretched, and was now staring intently at his nightmare own tail as if seeing it for the first time. He typed back, "Tell them we'll get back to them. Our training program is very exclusive." He put his phone down and settled back into the couch. Mr. Whiskers, having concluded his investigation of his tail, hopped up onto Dave's lap, circled 3 times, and laid down with a contented purr. You know what the crazy thing is? Dave said to the cat. You didn't do anything. You just existed, and somehow that was enough. Mr. Whiskers slow blinked at him, then closed his eyes. Somewhere out in the galaxy, entire civilizations were reconsidering their approach to conflict, honor, and the nature of strength itself. And on Earth, in a small apartment in Cleveland, The creature responsible for this philosophical revolution was doing what he did best. Absolutely nothing. And that, as it turned out, was more than enough.